Hello, and welcome to Hope for Felons podcast, where we discuss felons and everything in between. Your host for this show is Douglas Van Vliet. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We are having some technical issues here, but we will be online here in just a second.
Live in despair. And so we want to be certain that it doesn't matter what the offense is, what's happened, what you've done, that you have the opportunity to change, to make a life shift. We want to provide hope. Yeah.
That is really great, because one of the biggest issues that I believe that offenders actually face is, when they are released into the community, it's like, oh my gosh, because some of these people have been locked up 20, 30 years, and they are released to a world that, they really don't have a clue what they're facing. And would you, Dr. McRae, would you say that it is harder on inmates now being released into the community because of COVID than any other type of person being released?
Yeah, I do, Douglas, because, we're in the midst of a pandemic. So you have a society that's traumatized. You've got a releasee that has been traumatized, coming into a traumatized system, your family, your community. And so absolutely, it is a much more difficult time than it has been. Not that it has been a cakewalk for offenders prior to, but it doesn't make it easier at all. Absolutely. Because our system is inundated with so much trauma and pain and grief and loss and uncertainty. And so all of those things, they don't help the releasee to be confident, in their release. And so, yeah, absolutely, it is much more difficult.
Well, one of the things I know that in the past, I have seen so many people that walk out the front door of prison and they're like, they've already have plans to do the same thing, because it's either, they don't have the money to be able to make it when they get out. So the only thing they know is selling drugs to make their money. And, what kind of information could you give a person that's being released that still has that same old mindset that might be able to help them?
Well, the reality is nothing will change until you change. If your mind does not change, then your situation won't. So I believe that, there is opportunity. If we are alive and well, there's the opportunity that things can change, that things can shift, and you can begin to make a viable living without, putting your freedom in jeopardy. I believe that. It just means you may have to work harder and smarter, but you can do it. But again, it starts first with what you think, because if your thinking never changes, then your situation's never going to change. So what I would say is nothing will change until you change.
I definitely agree with you, Dr. McRae. Because one of the things that you stress in your programs is changing your thinking pattern. Mm-hmm. And I think that is one of the best tools that I've learned from Hope Counseling is being able to make that change. Mm-hmm. Because if I would have never made that change, I wouldn't be here sitting talking to you and Absolutely. Being able to do Hope for Felons. There's just no way if I wouldn't have changed. Mm-hmm. And, I think that is the biggest thing that we deal with these offenders that's coming out of prison, because as you know that the recidivism rate is so high in today, people being released, and I believe that a lot of them do try to come out and do the right thing, but at the same time, you have to want to make that change. And one of the other things that I've learned is, if I didn't have the support group that I have, then, I wonder what situation I might have been in, because not everybody out here has a strong support group.
You're exactly right, Douglas. And so even before release, there is an opportunity for you to talk with case managers and care managers that should be assessing, right, whether or not you have the proper supports in place, because they're important. And I know for some people, you're right, they don't have those natural supports. So you got to look outside of your family and where you came from. But there are supports. I mean, there are programs like yours, Hope for Felons. There's Hope Counseling and Consulting Services, where I am, where, I mean, we're really interested in building the entire person and being a support and making that phone call and helping, right? So it may not be natural, but there are other organizations and people that are concerned and want to support you, will mentor you and help you to overcome some of these systemic issues such as poverty and lack of affordable housing and employment. Yeah. So there are people that will help you to overcome some of those barriers.
Well, I know at least from, I got so many calls today, it was unreal. It seems like Hope for Felons is now ringing off the hook of people needing help. And one of the biggest things is housing. And housing in this area, and I'm sure probably in your area, every area, I think, is really tough, and especially when it comes to a felon, because not everybody wants to rent to a felon. And I think that that's one of the biggest issues that a lot of people face coming out of prison is, and I try to encourage everybody, Dr. McRae, to take, to actually take either home confinement if you have a house, but also halfway house. Halfway house is a dire need for people to take, but because of my background, I know that people give the halfway houses a bad name, but not every halfway house is the same. I mean, the halfway house that I went to was a very good halfway house, and I think it's a good thing for every offender that is coming out of prison to take, because it gives you a chance to talk to your probation officer. It gives you a chance to, get a job and try to acclimate yourself into society. I do know that, it is hard and it's tough, getting out and trying to find work and stuff, but they do have organizations and stuff that will help them get a job. But if you actually are going to be released a long ways away from the halfway house after you are released from the halfway house, now that could actually be an issue. But a person that's, well, I know right now, I mean, they're hiring because nobody wants to work anymore since they've been drawing all the unemployment. But I would say that it's probably easier now for an offender to get a job than before. What's your take on that?
Well, I think I don't know that it's easier. I think because of your criminal record, you're going to have difficulties that the other person without a criminal record won't have. So if you're coming up against them, then of course it's going to be probably more difficult. But I do believe that there are a lot of companies that are available and will work with and provide employment for felons. So just because you have a felony doesn't mean that you can't find employment. And it doesn't mean you can't become an entrepreneur. You know, I really want to push that because there are opportunities that are available to persons that will roll up their sleeves and get work done. I mean, you know, when I look at these lawn care services, I've saw window washing services, car washings. I mean, I don't know what your giftings are, but whatever they might be, we all have something that we might be talented in. And if we can't find, you know, an employer, maybe we become the employer. And we employ ourselves and we find a way to make a viable legal living. So yes, there are companies that will hire you, and there are also, I want you to think about the opportunity to become an entrepreneur.
Well, that is one thing that a lot of people in prison, that is really one of the main goals of a lot of the inmates that are locked up, is that's what they want to do when they get out, is be an entrepreneur. But sometimes it's actually tough and they find themselves, I do know some that actually has done good and that actually have their own businesses doing package delivering and lawn care. You know, I've seen all that, so I know that, like you said, it's very possible. But if a person is coming out with no money, you know, because you see so many people that walk out that door with just a bus ticket, and, you know, and I know for sure that those people struggle, you know, and they don't know, you know, of course, if they don't take the halfway house, then they're struggling on the street homeless if they don't have anybody. And that's one of the things that I try to stress, that the halfway house is really a necessity. I know that several people contact me and they was really upset and mad because they said that they didn't give them enough halfway house time. But the problem here is our system is so bogged down. I mean, there's so many people in the system and there's not enough money allocated for these people and for us to be able to help the people that really need the help.
You're exactly
really
right.
Sad.
You're exactly right. Now, there's been some, you know, like even right now, the American Rescue Protection Act, maybe, new grant opportunity for different counties. I know for Sept County, we just applied for some of that funding. Let me say that there have been other ways to kind of get at, but you're right. It's not so much that, you know, we have more than enough. We don't have more than enough. And so that it does cause us not to be able to serve the numbers that really need the support. And so oftentimes companies like yourself and myself, we do a lot of things just out of our own pockets and out of our own, because, you know, there's no funding stream, right, that meets the need. And so if we are able, then we try to help in the ways that we can. One of the ways that Hope does it is that we have intern staff that allows me to provide case management that I don't necessarily have to bill for, because I'm using intern staff to kind of help with that. So then I don't, you know, I'm not paid staff members not having to work in that area. So being creative and finding ways that we can meet the need that we might not have otherwise have funding for.
Well, you know what? That's why you're Dr. Linda. There's not but one of you, that's for sure.
Not but one, absolutely.
Sometimes, because I asked Mom, I said, because we was talking about you the other night, and she was talking about how great, that it was for God to allow us to meet you, because you have really helped so many people, including myself. I can never leave myself out of the situation. And, I just feel like, a person that really wants to change, like myself, because I didn't want to go back down that road, and I refused to go down that road again. And, I just thank God that I was able to get the tools that I needed. And then it's not about holding on to them tools. It's about using them tools to help other people and give
Absolutely.
them the tools and just keep building, because
Yep.
it would be no good if I sit here and you give me all the tools and I didn't give it to other people, then that wouldn't be right. That'd be stingy for me.
Exactly. I agree. I agree. I've said the same thing. And actually, I had a opportunity just this past Saturday to speak to a church group, and I said that same thing. The reason why hope exists is that I can remember sitting in spaces and places where I was getting all this education, all of this knowledge, all of this good stuff. And I think it would be a travesty for me to just keep it all for me and not be a channel. So you're exactly right. You just confirmed what I said. I mean, that's the whole point, right? That our lives are changed, that we might help, with the possibility of other lives changing. Because what we do doesn't just affect us, it can affect generations to come. So, and you're exactly right. We should share and not be stingy, right? With all of the many blessings that we receive.
Well, I want to tell all of the people that, because after I get done with the podcast, I'll be uploading it to iHeartRadio, so it's going to be everywhere. But I do want to ask you to please give your information, so that way, if they want to get in touch with you, and I'm redoing the website, so all your information will be on there. And I can't stress it enough that if you do need help and you do need counseling, give Dr. Linda a call. She will do everything in her power to try to help. I don't know. I'm sure that you have funds allocated for people that cannot afford treatment. I know a lot of the insurance companies do help, but you might want to speak a little bit on that.
I can.
Or somebody that's coming out of prison that don't have anything, how can they pay for treatment?
Well, let me say that, again, I am thankful, Douglas, for the opportunity to share Hope Counseling and Consulting Services. I'm Dr. Linda McRae. I'm the president and CEO. We have 4 locations, 2 in Winston-Salem, right downtown. We have a location in Thomasville and Lebanon West Main Street. And we're also in Reidsville, North Carolina, on Salem Church Road. So we've got 4 locations that we're providing a full range of behavioral health services. Now, we do accept Medicaid, Medicare, all of the insurances, private pay. We have a sliding scale fee. And we also do some pro bono, because we do know, we believe that too much is given, much is required. And so if there is a legitimate need and a person really has no resources, and we can help them, and there's a need and that we can address, we will definitely do that on a case-by-case basis. But we welcome you to take a look at our website, and that's at thereishopeinc.com. Again, that's thereishopeinc.com, or you can call us at 336-631-1948.
Well, that sounds good, Dr. McRae. I'll give you a call several times.
Yes, yes.
But it is so good, to have you being able to, share, your organization with us and be a part. We just recently purchased a domain name called hopenews.com. So we're hoping to get that up and running really soon as well. So much stuff that we're doing. We're trying to start this new program that's called Operation Backpack that will actually help the people that are released from prison that don't have any funds at all. That's the people that we're targeting. So what
So let
we're
me
doing.
say this, Douglas. Let me say this. Go ahead and put in that backpack that they are going to get, they can get 3 free sessions at Hope. So you just, if you need a business card, however you want to do that. So they get 3 introductory sessions, and those will be free. Put those in the backpack, and then we'll talk more about what else we can help you do with the backpack.
Well, I really appreciate it. We're trying to roll that program out January 1st because there's a whole lot of work that goes into doing the program. And like you said, most of the stuff that we do actually comes out of our pocket, but if I can help somebody, I'm going to do it. You best believe
Absolutely.
I'm going to do it, but we figured that we're going to try to partner with maybe some of the others in the community to try to get like hygiene, stuff like that we can put in the backpack. God has really blessed us since Mom is doing her business that we can print on those backpacks. So
wonderful.
I'm trying to get that. Maybe we could work it out where we could print your information on one side and then have us on the other side or something. We'll talk about it.
Yes, sir.
I really believe that it's about helping others, and I feel sometimes, I actually get overwhelmed because my phone rings off the hook. Sometimes you get cussed out, and then other like today, somebody called me and they said, "Excuse me, why did you give this person money for rent?" And I said, "Well, we don't help with rent." And, they was making this big deal where somebody was abusing funds or something. I was like, well, but I mean, it don't matter. We're living in a day and time where not everybody's going to be honest. Not everybody's going to do the right thing. But, we try to help as much as we can with people that are being released back into the community because we know it's hard. Dr.
Yes.
McRae, she talks to people every day that has been released from prison. And like she said, it don't matter what crime you've done, you are going to be fined, being released. It's not near as hard as, well, it is hard. Don't get me wrong. It is hard, but it's not something that you can't overcome.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know that for a fact that, if you're struggling and coming out of prison, whether you was in there for drugs, sex offense charge, whatever the case may be. And the great thing about it is Dr. McRae is specialized in all of those areas. And if she can help you, she will. And absolutely. I'm not just telling you just to be rattling something off. I can tell you from my own experience because she has helped me. So, that is one reason I wanted you on the show, Dr. McRae, is because I can't talk about any other therapists because I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I do know that you are a great Christian woman. You stand for great stuff, and you have a heart of gold, and you will try to help these people if you can.
Absolutely. Thank you, Douglas. Let me tell you how much I appreciate you. And I tell you, let me say to the audience, me and Douglas didn't start out so good. We did.
Oh
We didn't
no.
start. We did not start out so good. But I'm so thankful over time we learned enough of each other. And that's what I want to just leave with us all. We all have a story. And if we can respect and regard one another and listen to each other's story and provide a safe place, all kinds of beautiful things can happen. I agree, Douglas. It doesn't matter where you've been. So where you've been doesn't mean that you have to stay in that place. Just because you've done a thing doesn't mean you have to be a thing. It doesn't. You can change, and you can change for the better. I often say it this way: if you can look up, you can get up. I don't care that the rug may have been pulled from under your feet. If you can look up, you can get up. And I believe that if we wake up, we can have the opportunity that life can be better. And so that's why I'm a provider of hope. And I commend you, Douglas, for the great work that you're doing and that you desire to do. You too have a heart of gold. You really want to see people's lives changed for the better. And I commend you for that. And I just pray that it's blessed, that the work is blessed, and that the people that are served will experience what you're providing in a way that would be good for them and that would help them to be the better. So thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, Dr. McRae. Like you said, we didn't have too good of a start, but it's like anything. I believe I'm hard-headed, but you taught me so much to sit back. Sit back and relax and observe the situation before you say anything. Don't open your big mouth. Just sit there and wait, And that actually helped me out so much because I was so quick to jump into everything. And I'm like, now, Mom, she just can't get over how, much I've changed. She gets mad. She gets mad because she likes to fuss, and I don't like to do it. And she says, "Well, I don't know what Dr. McRae done to you."
Oh, it's for the better. It's for the better, Dougie.
It is, because, one of the things that I have to say is prior to coming home, Mom couldn't trust me. She would never trust me with nothing. It just wasn't there. She didn't trust me with nothing. And, when they see a positive change, then it don't matter whatever you want to do, I pretty much can do, And, I thank God for that, the change happened and God allowed that to happen. And I know that if we want to change and we want to make that change, we can. And I want to say that you can head over to www.hopeforfelons.com, and we do have a large selection of resources on our resource page that whatever state that you live in, it don't matter, is categorized by state. And if it's not on there, contact us and we'll do whatever we can to try to help you. And whatever the case may be, if you just need someone to talk to, or whatever the situation is, if you have a loved one that's fixing to be released and you would like information on maybe what organizations can help them, please reach out to us. That's what we're here for. We went through that, so we understand the need that even parents and friends that don't have a clue, some people gives bad vibes to other people about people that's locked up that's coming out into the community. And it's not all that all that times isn't bad. They're your friends, they're your family. So it's very important that you can be a support group to those that you love and you cherish. They need that support very badly. And I thank God that I had the support. I have a great mother. Um,
Yes, you
and
do.
I know that I could not. There's just no way that I would be able to make it without her. Um, because she's really right now. She's the only support, real support that we have, and it's sad, but you see close friends and stuff, Dr. McRae, during this COVID, I've lost some dear close friends due to COVID in the last few days, that actually taught me how to play the guitar and, was always there for me. He actually passed away at 87 years old. He passed away.
Mm,
But he told people, he said, look, he said, I've lived my life. My wife is already gone. So as far as wanting, anything special to make him live, he just didn't want it. He said it was just time for him to go.
mhm.
So it's hard, but we know
Yes.
that he's in a better place.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, well, it's so good to have you on the show, Dr. McRae, and I've really enjoyed it. And I hope that you will not be a stranger and come
Yes,
back.
absolutely. You just let me know, and you know I will. Again, thank you, Douglas. And if any way that Hope Counseling and Consulting Services can be of assistance to any of you felons out there, or family members, or what have you, please reach out to us at our website, thereishopeinc.com, or you can call our office, 336-631-1948. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McRae, and you have a good rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.